welcome to my 2021 solo Corp guide. I'm going to cover Corp's mechanics and drops, gear and banking setups, the breakdown of exactly what is going on with the special attacks of the Dragon Warhammer, Arclight, Bulwark, and BGS. I'm going to cover the specking order and why the specking order works as it does. And I'm also going to cover the importance of games necklaces and the Desert Amulet 4 and how much of a time save it is. And I'm also going to talk about Monster Examine and how to cast Thralls and Vengeance alongside of each other. The Corporeal Beast is a level 785 combat monster with 2000 HP and very high stats. It can only be damaged with spears or halberds or magic attacks if you would like to deal full damage. All other weapons will deal half damage, and this is important. You must have your spear and halberds on stab for them to do full damage. At some point in the fight, the Dark Energy Core will spawn, and this is a little obnoxious purple thing that jumps around and drains your HP. If you deal 32 damage or more, it has a 1 in 8 chance of spawning, but it can also spawn when Corp hits you under 1000 HP. The main attraction to kill Corp is to get these 3 sigils, the Spectral, the Arcane, and the Elysian sigils. They are extremely rare at 1 in 1365 for both the Arcane and Spectral, and 1 in 4095 for the Elysian. So in order to kill Corp efficiently, you need to drain its stats completely to 0. That'll make the actual kill very easy because Corp will then be a chicken, and you will barely need any supplies. This is how I set up my bank. If you go directly across in a horizontal manner, like that, and then like that, your gear will be perfectly set up. So after you get all this gear equipped, then you'll click 3 times on your games necklaces, 1 super combat, 1 prayer, and the rest food. And then you are fully geared. It's highly recommended that you set up your shift left click properly. So what you want to do is configure shift left click, make sure that games necklaces are on wear, and then the Narda teleport is on Narda. Make sure the crafting cape is also on teleport. All you have to do is hold down shift, click on these 2 things, and then you've equipped the games necklace while also teleporting to Narda. The reason you equip the games necklace is when you hit the altar, you can instantly go to Corp and you won't have to wait an additional tick. Now, if I don't equip it, I'll have to go through an additional menu. When I click rub, I'll have to click the number 3. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but wasting 1 tick every single teleport adds up big time. Now I want to explain exactly what these spec weapons are doing to Corp's stats. Initially, I am Dragon Warhammering. It says it'll deal an attack that afflicts 50% more damage and lowers your target's defense level by 30%. You will be specking with your Dragon Warhammer 3 times, which will reduce Corp's defense from 310 to 108. Once you've spec'd 3 times with your Dragon Warhammer, you will be doing a 5-way switch into your Arclight, which is like that. And what the Arclight does is it temporarily drains your target's attack, strength, and defense by 5%, and is twice as effective against demons. Corp is not a demon, so this will just be doing 5%. You will be specking with your Arclight 7 times. You can successfully spec rolling a 0, which will bring up the importance of Monster Examine. Now, at this point, I am watching for 0s because it is very common that an Arclight hits a 0, but you don't actually know if a spec hit or not. I missed my first one, which means when this Arclight spec shows 6, I'm going to cast a Monster Examine and see what it actually is truly at. Unfortunately, when Corp's really close to the door, it's actually not worth it to even do a Monster Examine because it's just a wasted 5 ticks. So at this point, I'm just going to spec it regardless and then switch into my Bulwark gear and start the bulwarking process. But if it was further out, I would cast a Monster Examine, and if, for example, it showed 16 on defense, then I would know it was a miss. But if it was close to 0, then I would have known that it was actually a hit, and I can just move on to the bulwarking process immediately. The Arclight is reducing Corp's defense by 15.5 every single spec. So as you see, 15.5 7 times is exactly 108.5, which is the number you need to lower Corp's defense to 0. And on top of that, the Arclight will also reduce its attack and strength 5% 7 times, which is 112, which will put both the attack and strength at around 208. Once all the Arclight specs are done, you will be speccing with a Din's Bulwark, thanks to the most recent Wilderness update that made the Din's Bulwark actually useful. I'll be doing a 5-way switch on the opposite side, but first I will have to drop a food in order to leave space for the Avernic. And usually around this time, one of the game's necklaces will already have disintegrated, but if not, you will have to drop a food at the entrance. The Avernic will be placed nicely right here. So then this is what you will be looking like for the 16 Bulwark specs. Din's Bulwark has a new special attack, Shield Bash, which hits up to 10 enemies in both PvM and PvP in an 11 by 11 area around the player, with 20% increased accuracy, consuming 50% of the player's special attack energy. So the key thing to note here is that the targeted monster actually gets hit twice now. And in addition, the target's highest offensive stat will be reduced by 5% of its current level, not its base level. And if all stats are equal, it will drain both attack and strength, then ranged or magic, depending on which is higher. So at this point, Corp's defense will already be at 0. Speccing 8 times, which is actually 16 because of the 2 Hitsplats, your accuracy will be extremely high. If you hit a 0, it's more than likely a successful spec, but it just rolled a 0. Now, I believe this is just a glitch, but when Corp is against a wall, apparently the special attack doesn't actually hit twice. It only hits once if you're on the side with a wall. So as you see, I went to the north, and then of course it hits twice when it was still against a wall. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Once all the Bulwark specs are done, you'll be switching into your BGS. And you will be speccing 240 BGS damage, which in turn will reduce Corp's remaining stats by 480 because a BGS only shows half damage. Now, when you start approaching the 240 BGS damage, what you'll want to do is make sure that Corp's magic level is actually at 0. So you're going to do a monster examine while approaching, and you're going to look at the magic right there. And you're going to half it. I am trying to do 34 damage. And as soon as you're actually ready to start killing Corp, you will do a 5-way switch up from the Void Bottoms to your Zamorakian Spear like this. Once Corp is completely chickenized, you can enter Corp, and this is where the fun begins. So initially you want to cast a Vengeance. If you have 100% spec, you should run in with a Sea Halley, which I didn't. Make sure it's on stab. The other thing that you want to do is, as soon as your guy attacks, you're going to hit the Arcane Spellbook. But you want to do it as soon as you hit so you don't waste a tick. And then you'll just spawn your Thrall. And make sure it's a Mage Thrall because, as you saw, Corp is allergic to magic. This Thrall will deal full damage to him. Now, when a Purple People Eater spawns, you're going to want to lure it away from the Thrall so that the Thrall doesn't mess up the Ash spawn. Now I'm going to wait for it. As soon as it lands on you, you can just hit it with a BGS. As the Thrall approaches the 10-second mark, you're going to want to respawn it. So I'm going to wait until a hit. Spawn the Arcane Spellbook, re-click Corp, spawn another Thrall. This is exactly what you do the entire fight, and make sure your Vengeance is always active. Of course, once you're done with the kill, you're going to teleport with your crafting cape. To reset up the gear, you will go in order like this. Equip your BGS, helmet, bulwark, and then you're going to go down like this. And then you're fully re-geared for another kill. So when you go to the bank, you can just deposit everything that you didn't need. So your games necklace, your sharks, or whatever drop you got. And then you're just going to re-gear by clicking 3 games necklaces, 1 of each pot, and the rest food, and you're ready to go. Once you've completed a Corp session, you can actually decant all of your used games necklaces here. So you click decant and they all turn into 8s. Now I'm going to run through an entire kill as an example. Now, I want to talk about the importance of games necklaces and the Desert Amulet 4. Over the course of 7,000 kills, which is the average completion for all Corp drops, including Jar and Pet, you will save 100 hours by using games necklaces and a Desert Amulet 4 over going to your POH and using the jewelry box. Yes, 100 hours. Now, I'm going to show you the time difference between using the Desert Ammy and a games necklace over the construction cape. With the most optimal Narda teleport spawn, you save 6 ticks. With the worst spawn, you save 4 ticks, so an average of 5 ticks, which is 3 seconds saved per teleport. With max gear killing Corp, you will teleport an average of 21 times every single kill. Multiply that by 3 seconds. That is 63 seconds saved per kill just using games necklaces, and that consumes roughly 2.5 games necklaces. Now, I have a video proving that you can craft and enchant 1,240 Phoenix necklaces an hour, which would be the exact same thing enchanting games necklaces. Now, it takes exactly 7,094 Corp kills for full completion. Multiply that by 2.625, which is how many games necklaces you'll use per kill. That equals out to 18,621 games necklaces. divide that by 1240, and you see it takes 15 hours to craft and enchant all the games necklaces you need for full average Corp completion. Now, let's assume that you do Corp the POH method the entire time. So 7,094 kills times an additional 63 seconds. Divide that by 60. Divide that by 60 again to see how many hours it takes. This will be the minutes, and this will be the hours. 124 additional hours. Including the time to make it, you would have to subtract an additional 15 hours. It is an additional 109 hours if you use the POH method. That is including the time it takes to craft and enchant all the necklaces. With my Corp guide, you can expect 7 kills per hour, leaving full average completion at just over 1,000 hours. This guide was a lot of fun to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. For sure, I've missed a few things here and there, even things that I probably wanted to include. There's just a lot to talk about. So if you have any questions, put it down in the comments. And if you like the guide a lot, a subscription would mean a ton, and of course, a like would also really help me out. Thank you so much for watching.